The first encounter of the sky above Earth had never been more silent. It was the kind of quiet that set people on edge, the stillness before a storm. But this was no ordinary storm. In the darkness of space, the alien fleet had arrived, slowly approaching Earth with an ominous calm. The people of Earth, oblivious to the danger that was coming, lived their lives in peace. Humanity, though resilient, had no idea that their time on this planet was running out. They had no idea the invaders were already here. Commander Callan stood on the command deck of Earth's primary defense ship, his eyes fixed on the massive alien fleet now in view. The ship's sensors were working overtime, trying to make sense of the data flooding in. Each alien vessel was a giant, and the sheer size and number of ships were enough to cause a knot in anyone's stomach. "What are we looking at, Callan?" Lieutenant Arya asked, her voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. "A full-scale invasion," Callan replied, his tone grave. "We've been completely blindsided." He could see it now. The alien fleet was positioned around Earth's atmosphere, their ships lining up in perfect formation as if they had done this 1,000 times before. They were methodical, disciplined, and terrifying. Humanity had no idea how to respond. In the silence, it was almost as if the aliens were waiting, not even making their move, but giving humanity the time to realize that they were powerless to stop them. In the span of just a few hours, the aliens dropped down like a storm from the heavens. Their ships, sleek and dark, pierced through the Earth's atmosphere. The impact was immediate. Cities trembled as massive, unfamiliar ships blocked out the sun. All communications went dark. The aliens had arrived and Earth was not ready. It wasn't just the technology they brought. It was the sheer power and presence of these invaders. Humanity was still trying to grasp what was happening when the first wave of destruction began. Missiles rained down and humanity's defenses were quickly overwhelmed. As the alien vessels hovered above the cities, the chaos began. People ran through the streets, trying to comprehend what they were seeing. Fear spread like wildfire, and it didn't take long for the first military response to begin. But it was futile. Earth's defenses, though advanced by their standards, were powerless against the aliens. The alien ships simply hovered above the ground, effortlessly dodging any weapons humanity threw at them. Inside a government command center, the leaders of Earth huddled together, each one more terrified than the last. General Wilkes, the head of Earth's military forces, slammed his fist on the table. "What the hell are we up against? We've never seen ships like this." A scientist on the side spoke nervously. "We don't know. The technology is beyond anything we've ever created. These ships, they can't be destroyed." General Wilkes stared out of the large window, watching the bright explosions in the distance. The aliens had come to conquer, there was no doubt about that. But what was more terrifying was that humanity was the last to know. Back in space, Commander Callan ordered the first strike. It was a last-ditch attempt to show the aliens that humanity would fight back. Ships launched, weapons fired. But the aliens didn't move an inch. They didn't need to. Their shields were invincible. The weapons of Earth barely scratched the surface of their ships. "What do we do?" Arya asked, her eyes wide with fear. Callan turned to face her. "We survive. We have no choice now. They've come to take Earth, but we won't go down without a fight." For a moment, there was a sense of unity among the crew. They realized they weren't just soldiers, they were the last line of defense. Humanity's survival now rested on their shoulders. The thought of failure was too much to bear, and Callan wasn't going to let it happen. As the aliens continued their invasion, Commander Callan's mind raced. Earth was not prepared for something like this. They had no idea what they were dealing with. The alien race had come with a singular purpose: to conquer, to wipe out humanity as if they were nothing more than an obstacle. But Callan knew one thing: humanity was never meant to be underestimated. They had survived wars, plagues, and natural disasters. They had always fought back, against all odds. He clenched his fists as he stood in front of the view screen, watching the destruction unfold. Humanity's struggle for survival was only just beginning. The first encounter had left them battered and broken, but it had also awakened something within them, a fire that no alien force could extinguish. "We might be outmatched," Callan said softly, his voice filled with resolve, "but we're not out of the fight. We'll make them regret ever underestimating humanity." As the chaos spread across the globe, Earth's people began to unite in ways they never had before. Governments fell and new leaders emerged. Resistance groups sprang up, fueled by the desperate need to fight back. The aliens had thought humanity was weak, just a race of primitive, struggling creatures, but now they would learn the truth. Humanity was not finished. The first alien wave had come and gone, but the battle for Earth was only just beginning. Humanity's resolve with world had changed in the blink of an eye. In the aftermath of the first wave of destruction, chaos spread like wildfire. The aliens had come down from the sky, shattering cities, decimating military defenses, and showing humanity just how vulnerable they truly were. But despite the overwhelming force that had wiped out Earth's defenses, humanity was far from finished. In the wake of the attack, humans quickly regrouped. They realized that the battle for survival wasn't just about fighting back. It was about coming together. The aliens might have destroyed their cities and wiped out their military forces, but they hadn't broken their spirit. Humanity's greatest weapon was its resolve, the will to survive against all odds. Commander Callan paced back and forth in the war room aboard Earth's last defense station. His thoughts racing. The alien invaders had crippled them, but there was something they hadn't accounted for: human ingenuity. "We can't just sit here and wait to be wiped out," Callan said, his voice steely with determination. "We have to fight back, but we need more than just weapons. We need strategy. We need to outthink them." Lieutenant Arya, who had been silently watching him, spoke up. "We've been studying the alien tech, and we've found a weakness in their shields. They're nearly invincible, but we can exploit the energy surges they give off when they move. If we can figure out how to time our attacks, we might have a chance." Callan nodded. "Good. We can't fight them head-on, but if we use their weaknesses against them, we might just have a shot." The war room was quiet as the crew processed the new information. They were no longer fighting just to survive, they were adapting. Earth's military might be decimated, but humanity's brains and determination were still intact. As the days went on, Earth's resistance movement grew. Every corner of the planet, from ruined cities to remote villages, people began to fight back. They weren't just standing by, waiting for a hero to save them. They were becoming the heroes themselves. It wasn't just soldiers on the front lines. It was scientists, teachers, farmers, engineers, all coming together to rebuild what was destroyed and to resist the alien threat. In secret bunkers scattered across the planet, engineers and inventors worked tirelessly to reverse engineer alien technology. Humanity wasn't going to just take the aliens' destruction lying down. They were going to take their technology and use it to turn the tide in their favor. Earth's engineers were creating new weapons, stronger shields, and faster ships, all based on the alien tech they had collected. In cities that had been reduced to rubble, citizens built underground resistance bases. Supplies were scarce, but hope was abundant. Food and water were rationed. But the people of Earth were learning to live with less, determined to outlast their invaders. The scars of the alien attack were everywhere, but so was the courage to rebuild. Meanwhile, the alien commanders were growing frustrated. They had expected Earth to be an easy target, a world ripe for the taking, a primitive species that would collapse under the weight of their superior technology. But what they hadn't anticipated was human resilience. Commander Zarkov, the leader of the alien invasion force, stood on the deck of his command ship. Looking out at the ruined Earth below, he had underestimated humanity. He had thought they were weak, but now he could feel the pressure mounting. "We didn't prepare for this," Zarkov muttered under his breath. "They're not just fighting back, they're adapting, they're learning from us." Zarkov's second-in-command, a younger alien officer, stepped forward. "What should we do now?" "Commander, they're making new weapons, they're rebuilding, and their resistance is growing stronger. We underestimated them, but now it's clear they'll fight until the end." Zarkov clenched his fists in frustration. "The longer this war drags on, the more dangerous it becomes for us. The humans are more resourceful than we thought, and if they continue to develop their tech at this rate, they'll become a serious threat to our empire. We need to crush them before they can build a real defense." He turned to his officer, his eyes filled with cold resolve. "We need to increase our efforts. Send in more forces. The humans must learn that resistance is futile. We will break their spirit and take this planet before they can rise again." Back on Earth, the resistance movement was more determined than ever. The fight was no longer just about surviving, it was about proving that humanity wasn't some forgotten species, a race left behind in the galaxy. They were showing the universe that they had a strength the aliens hadn't seen before. Earth was fighting back, and with every passing day, they were growing stronger. In the war room, Callan's strategy was coming together. They had learned how to exploit the aliens' weaknesses, and now they were ready to hit them where it hurt most. The final plan was simple but effective: a direct assault on the alien command center, the heart of their invasion force. If they could destroy that, the alien army would crumble. "We have the element of surprise," Callan said, looking at the gathered resistance leaders. "They think we're weak, that we're on the edge of defeat, but what they don't realize is that humanity has been preparing to strike back." Arya stepped forward, holding up a holographic map of the alien fleet. "The alien command ship is the key. Take that down, and we'll scatter their forces." The resistance prepared for the final strike. Humanity had no choice now but to push forward. to take back their world from the invaders who had underestimated them. This was no longer just about defending Earth. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity was not finished. The first blow would be dealt soon, and humanity's fight for survival was far from over. But the aliens had made a fatal mistake in thinking humanity could be defeated. Now, they would learn that humanity never gives up. Asterisk the spark of rebellion in the heart of Earth's most devastated cities. The whispers of resistance began to take root. What once seemed like a hopeless struggle had ignited into a blazing fire of rebellion. Humanity, driven by the raw instinct to survive and reclaim their home, was slowly turning the tide against the invaders. The alien forces, despite their advanced technology, had underestimated one thing: the strength of human unity. Commander Callan stood before a group of underground leaders, each one representing a different corner of Earth. They had lost so much: homes, families, and familiarity, but their spirit remained unbroken in these dark times. It was their unity, their collective will to fight, that had begun to challenge the alien occupation. We've fought and lost battles, but we are not defeated, Callan said, his voice steady but filled with a fierce determination. We are fighting for more than survival. We are fighting for our freedom, for our future. A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Arya, who had become a key strategist in the resistance, stood beside him, studying the alien fleet's movements. On a holographic display, the battle was far from won, but their small victories were beginning to add up. Humanity wasn't just fighting the aliens, it was fighting for a new future. We've learned from our mistakes, Arya said, glancing up from the map. We've been scouting their weaknesses, and we found a way to strike back without risking everything. It's time we hit them where it hurts. The alien forces had grown complacent, believing that humanity was still a fractured and broken species. They had no idea that every city, every resistance cell was working toward the same goal: defeat. The alien forces, too, had their own problems. While Zarkov and his fleet were adjusting to Earth's relentless counterattacks, they were struggling to keep their grip on the planet. Humanity's refusal to yield was something the aliens had never expected. The aliens, known for their own brutal efficiency, were now facing a new kind of war, one where strategy, deception, and human resilience were as potent as any weapon they possessed. We've underestimated them, Commander, the alien officer said, standing before Zarkov's desk, eyes filled with concern. The humans, they're learning fast. They've adapted to our technology, and now they're using it against us. Zarkov's eyes narrowed. The invading fleet, once confident in their superiority, was now beginning to fracture. The resistance wasn't just surviving, they were becoming an increasingly formidable force. The humans had turned their disadvantages into their greatest strengths. They've made the mistake of fighting back, and now they've awakened a force they cannot understand. Zarkov said, his voice full of venom. We can crush their rebellion, but it will take more than just force. They're learning too quickly. We'll need to shift our tactics. Back on Earth, the underground resistance had grown beyond the bunkers and makeshift camps. From the shadows, they emerged people from all walks of life, from farmers to scientists, from teachers to soldiers. Earth's people were not divided by race or nationality anymore. They were united by a common cause. The first wave of the rebellion was not led by generals or military officers. It was led by everyday people, heroes in their own right. We don't need to be soldiers to fight, one resistance leader said, rallying the new recruits. We just need to stand together, united, and show the aliens we will never bow down. As the resistance gathered, so too did the aliens' fears. Humanity's resourcefulness was something the invaders could not measure or predict. They had built their empires through domination and fear. But humanity fought with hope and a relentless drive to protect what was theirs. The first major counterattack by the resistance was about to unfold. A group of human pilots, having adapted the alien technology to their own craft, prepared to strike at the heart of the alien command center. Their mission: to destroy a key communication satellite the aliens were using to coordinate their forces. On Earth, are we ready for this? Arya asked, her voice steady despite the growing tension. We're ready, Callan said, his tone confident. The aliens have no idea what's coming. It's not just a fight for survival anymore, it's a fight for our future, and we won't stop until we win. As the resistance fighters prepared for their assault, the enemy's command began to unravel. Human ingenuity had turned the tide, and the aliens were realizing that the war was far from over. The more they pushed, the more humanity pushed back. The fight had only just begun. The counterattack was swift. Human pilots, trained to think outside the box, used the very ships the aliens had tried to use against them. They dodged and weaved, breaking through the alien defense systems and leaving a trail of wreckage in their wake. For the first time since the invasion began, the alien fleet was caught off guard. Back on Earth, news spread fast. The rebel fighters had succeeded. The alien satellite had been destroyed, sending a powerful message to the invaders: humanity was far from finished. As humanity took its first steps toward reclaiming Earth, the aliens began to understand that this war would not be decided on the battlefield alone. The humans had something the aliens didn't: heart, unity, and the relentless will to survive. The first real victory had been secured, and with it came the hope that Earth's people could rise, not just to survive, but to thrive once more. The heart of the enemy resistance's first victory was a turning point for humanity. As news of their success spread, the people of Earth found a renewed sense of hope. It was a fragile hope, but it was something they had not felt in months. The alien forces, once seemingly unstoppable, had been dealt a major blow, and that small victory sent a message to every corner of the globe: humanity was fighting back. But the battle was far from over. Commander Callan and his crew knew that the alien command center, the heart of the invasion, was still standing, hidden deep within Earth's orbit. The satellite strike had been an essential success, but it was only the beginning. Now, Earth's resistance needed to strike at the core of the alien empire on Earth, a mission that would test humanity's strength and resolve like never before. "We've made them bleed," Callan said, his voice firm as he addressed the team. "But this is just the start. The alien leaders will be more cautious now. We need to hit them where it hurts most." Their command center, Arya nodded, glancing at the tactical map projected in front of them. The alien command center was protected by layers of fortified defenses, but humanity had learned from their previous encounters. Their adaptation was their greatest weapon now, and they had started to understand the alien tech well enough to use it against them. "We've got one shot at this," Arya said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "If we fail to destroy the command center, they'll regain control of everything we've fought for. We need to take out the heart of the invasion. It's the only way to stop them from regrouping." The fleet gathered for their final assault. Humanity's forces, though small, were more united than ever. Earth's finest pilots, now trained in the alien technology they had salvaged, were prepared to launch a strike that would change the course of the war. They were not just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for the future of their species. The atmosphere was electric with tension. The fleet of human ships, now fully armed and more maneuverable than ever, was ready to make their move. The resistance had learned how to use alien technology against its creators, using their ships' advanced weapons and shields to their advantage. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to give them a fighting chance. "We move at dawn," Callan said, his voice quiet but full of authority. "This is it. We either destroy their command center or we lose everything. Humanity will never get a second chance like this." The alien fleet was still a formidable force, but now humanity was no longer just reacting to their moves. They were on the offensive, planning their strike with precision and efficiency. Their infiltration mission would take them to the heart of the alien empire on Earth, deep within the orbiting command center where the invaders had made their base of operations. As the resistance ships made their approach, the alien defenses were unexpectedly weak. They had grown overconfident, thinking the humans were still reeling from the initial onslaught. But humanity had learned their weakness and now they were about to exploit it. The human fleet, led by Commander Callan's ship, broke through the alien blockade with an agility the invaders could not have anticipated. They moved swiftly, attacking with everything they had. Laser fire and explosions filled the dark expanse of space, and for the first time, it was the humans who were pressing the attack. The aliens were on the defensive, scrambling to re-establish their fallen defenses. "We've broken through their outer defense," Arya said, her voice full of excitement. "The core is just ahead." But the closer they got to the alien command center, the more they felt the immense weight of their mission. The alien command center wasn't just a building, it was a fortress, protected by an artificial intelligence that had been programmed to adapt to every strategy, every tactic. The human fleet was no longer just fighting aliens. They were fighting against a machine that had been designed to outthink them at every turn. "We've got one shot at this," Callan muttered to himself, his fingers tapping rapidly on the controls. He had studied the blueprint of the command center for days, but nothing could prepare him for the chilling reality of attacking the heart of an alien empire. The artificial intelligence controlling the center was smart, and it adapted quickly. As the fleet advanced, they suddenly felt a shift. The AI was becoming more than just a defense system. It was now actively counteracting their moves. The alien ships, once scattered, were now regrouping and forming a shielded defense around the command center. The war was no longer just about technology, it was about who could outsmart the other. "We need to shut down their AI," Arya shouted, her eyes locked onto the screen. "We can't win this fight with their system fighting back at every turn." Callan's mind raced. The AI was defending the command center with unpredictable intelligence. Learning from every move humanity made, they had to outwit it. Or else the whole fleet would be wiped out in moments, just as hope seemed to fade. A sudden breakthrough occurred. The underdogs of humanity, the very civilians who had come together in the darkest hour, found a way to outsmart the alien AI. A small, underground resistance group had found a way to infiltrate the AI's core system, disabling its defensive protocols long enough for the fleet to land a decisive blow. "We've got it," Arya screamed as the AI's shields flickered and shut down for the first time in the entire war. The human fleet surged forward, charging toward the alien command center, and this time, they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the future of Earth. As the fleet made its final approach, Callan felt a sense of calm wash over him. They had made it this far. Humanity had proven they could adapt. They could survive, and now they had a chance to win. It wasn't just about a physical battle. It was about proving that they could outsmart the aliens who had believed they were weak. The final blow was about to fall. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price for their mistake. The shifting tide of humanity had struck a decisive blow, but they knew the war was far from over. The alien command center had been destroyed, and the AI that controlled their defenses had been silenced. However, even in victory, the shadows of doubt hung over them. The alien empire had always been a force far beyond their comprehension. The destruction of the command center, while monumental, had only disrupted the invaders' plans temporarily. The war was still raging, and now, Earth's fragile hope rested on a single, burning question: what would come next? Commander Callan stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the war maps. The enemy fleet had retreated for now, but Callan knew it was only a matter of time before they regrouped. The alien empire wasn't just going to pack up and leave. They would return with vengeance. And humanity was now in a race against time to find a way to finish the fight once and for all. "They're retreating, but they're not gone." Arya's voice broke through the silence. She stood beside Callan, her eyes scanning the data feeds. "The alien forces are scattered, but they're preparing to regroup. We need to find a way to keep them on the run." Callan nodded, his mind focused on the task ahead. "They won't be able to regroup quickly. We've disrupted their command structure, but we need to strike fast. Every second counts." Meanwhile, Zarkov, the alien commander, stood on his flagship, overseeing the remains of his fleet. The humans had dealt a devastating blow, but Zarkov was not one to surrender easily. His eyes narrowed as he looked out over the galaxy. He could feel the tension in the air. Humanity was no longer the weak species he had once dismissed. They had adapted, learned, and now they were fighting back in ways the alien empire had never imagined. "They have no idea what they've awoken," Zarkov muttered to himself. "The catalyst is still out there, and we must reclaim it before it consumes everything." His officer turned to him, her face pale. "Commander, we've intercepted human communications. They're preparing to launch a counteroffensive. We need to stop them before they finish rebuilding their forces." Zarkov's eyes glowed with cold determination. "We will strike first. The humans think they have won, but the true battle is just beginning. Their victory was a fluke. We will remind them why they should never have dared to challenge the alien empire back on Earth." The resistance was gearing up for their next big move. Callan, Arya, and the rest of the crew were already planning their next strike this time, aiming for the alien mothership, the heart of their empire's power. They had won the first battle, but the true war was far from over. The mothership was the key to their dominance, and without it, the alien forces would crumble. But they also knew that the enemy was not to be underestimated. The alien fleet had retreated for now, but they were regrouping, gathering their forces for a final push. Humanity had taken down one of their strongholds, but the aliens were still a force to be reckoned with. "We've taken the fight to them, but they will come back stronger," Callan said, pacing back and forth in the war room. "Our best shot is to strike their mothership. If we can disable it, we'll cripple their entire fleet, but we don't have much time." Arya nodded. "We have information on their weak points. Their mothership has powerful shields, but there are gaps. If we target those, we can break through and cripple their control. We'll need a coordinated strike, and it has to be fast." The resistance, now more than ever, was united in their purpose. The survivors from across the world, having faced the alien onslaught, now fought as one. Civilians who had once been afraid to take up arms were now at the front lines, leading attacks and organizing tactics. The human spirit had proven that it could withstand any trial. The aliens had thought they were dealing with a fractured world, but humanity's unity was a force that couldn't be ignored. "We're fighting for more than survival," Callan said to the gathered leaders. "This is our last stand. We take down their mothership and we end this war." As humanity prepared for their next counteroffensive, they were aware of just how much was at stake. This was the moment that would define them, the moment they could prove prove to the galaxy that humanity would not be forgotten, that they had survived against all odds. The aliens had underestimated them, and now humanity had become the ultimate threat in a war they never asked to fight. But just as the final plans were being put in place, a strange transmission was intercepted. The signal came from a deep space station, one that had been abandoned long ago by the aliens themselves. It was a distress signal, one that had been hidden away for centuries. The message was cryptic, filled with ancient codes and strange symbols. But the one thing that was clear was that it came from an alien race who had once lived alongside the invaders, and it held a terrifying warning for humanity. The catalyst is alive. You do not control it, the message echoed, sending a chill through the crew. The galaxy will burn if you do not end this now. Do not awaken what is beyond your understanding. The aliens you fight are but shadows compared to what you will awaken. The tension on Earth grew even thicker. The final decision was not just about defeating the aliens anymore. Humanity was now caught between two forces: the alien invaders and something far darker, something ancient and far more dangerous. The catalyst had begun to stir, and humanity was standing at the precipice of cosmic destruction. The fate of the galaxy and of humanity itself now rested on a knife's edge. The catalyst unleashed, the galaxy had never known peace, but now it was on the edge of destruction. Humanity had proven its strength in the face of alien invasion. But the catalyst, the force they had unknowingly awakened, was far beyond anything they could have imagined. The message from deep space had sent a shockwave through the ranks of the resistance. The aliens had warned them the catalyst was alive, and if humanity wasn't careful, it would consume everything. Commander Callan stood at the helm of the flagship, staring out into the void. The war was no longer just about alien invaders. It was about stopping a force that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the galaxy. The resistance had succeeded in attacking alien strongholds, but they hadn't accounted for the catalyst, a living, cosmic entity that had been dormant for eons. I've been thinking, Arya said, her voice calm but serious as she approached. Callan, we've been using our improvised weapons against the aliens, but now the real war has begun. The catalyst is something beyond all of us. We've barely begun to understand its true power. Callan nodded, his eyes darkened with the weight of their situation. The catalyst feeds on everything, Arya. The aliens didn't just come to Earth to invade, they came to ensure the catalyst stayed locked away. We've unlocked it, and now it's too late. The question is, how do we stop it? On the alien side, Zarkov, the alien commander, stood before his fleet, gritting his teeth. In frustration, the humans had outwitted him at every turn. The destruction of the alien command center had set his empire back by years. But even more troubling was the fact that they had unlocked the catalyst, a force more powerful than anything his race had ever encountered. We underestimated them, Zarkov said coldly, pacing the room. The humans have unleashed something we cannot contain. The catalyst is not a weapon, it is a force of nature. And now they have awakened it. His officer, still recovering from the previous skirmishes, spoke up. Commander, the humans may have access to the catalyst, but they have no idea how to control it. It will consume them just as it threatens to consume the rest of us. Zarkov narrowed his eyes, his mind racing. No, we cannot let that happen. The catalyst must be sealed again. The war is not over. We cannot afford to let the humans wield it. We must act quickly. Back on Earth, the resistance had been struggling to make sense of the catalyst. It was no longer a question of fighting back, it was a question of survival. The alien technology they had used to build their weapons was becoming more unpredictable by the day, and they had only just begun to understand the true power of the catalyst. Humanity was now at the mercy of a force that had been dormant for centuries. We can't let this spiral out of control, Callan said, looking over the gathered resistance leaders. The catalyst is evolving. The more energy it absorbs, the stronger it becomes. We have to find a way to contain it before it consumes everything. Arya spoke, her voice urgent. We've tried to harness its energy, but we've only succeeded in stoking its fire. The catalyst responds to us. It's feeding off our technological advancements, growing more powerful by the minute. If we don't stop it now, it will be too late. We need to shut it down, Callan said, his voice heavy. Before it consumes everything, before it destroys the galaxy. At that moment, a blinding flash filled the sky. The resistance fighters looked up, startled. Across the vast expanse of space, an alien fleet appeared, led by a ship that was unlike any they had seen before, a ship far more advanced, far more powerful. It was clear that the aliens had regrouped, and now they were coming for humanity's last stand. What the hell is that? Arya whispered, her eyes widening. The alien ship's energy readings were off the charts, and it was heading straight for Earth. Callan's heart pounded. They're coming in this time. They've brought everything. As the alien ships descended upon Earth, The resistance had no choice but to fight back once more, but now they faced an even greater enemy than they had before. The catalyst, which had been humanity's only hope of survival, was now their greatest threat. It was evolving faster than they could understand it, and with every passing moment, the alien invaders were growing stronger. We cannot hold them off forever, Callan said as he watched the alien ships descend upon Earth. We need to finish this once and for all. The alien invaders' final attack was swift, ruthless, and relentless. Humanity, once scrambling for survival, was now in a battle for existence itself. The war was no longer just about the alien forces, it was about stopping the catalyst, a force that had been unleashed and was now beyond their control. As the final battle loomed on the horizon, the fate of humanity and the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Would they destroy the catalyst before it consumed everything? Or would they be swallowed by the void? The descent into darkness. The alien fleet's approach was swift, its warships cutting through space like predators hunting their prey. Humanity had barely survived the first wave of the invasion, and now, with the catalyst growing more unstable, their last stand felt more like a desperate rush toward the inevitable. The air in the command center was thick with tension as the crew prepared for what could very well be their final fight. There are too many, Arya said quietly, staring at the holographic map in front of them. The alien fleet had grown to an overwhelming size, their ships surrounding Earth like an impenetrable wall. The resistance was vastly outnumbered, and their remaining forces were scattered, desperate to regroup. The destruction they had caused to the alien command had been a victory, but now they had to face the full might of the enemy. Commander Callan clenched his jaw, trying to block out the panic that threatened to rise within him. We have no choice but to fight, he said, his voice cold and steady. If we don't stop them now, the catalyst will destroy everything, and Earth will fall. He wasn't just talking about Earth. Humanity had unlocked something beyond their understanding, and now they had to hold it for better or for worse. The catalyst had been awakened, and though it offered the promise of unimaginable power, it was also an uncontrollable beast. Humanity had barely begun to understand its full potential, and already, it was beginning to consume everything in its path. The air in the war room was suffocating. But there was no time for fear. The aliens had begun their final assault, and Earth's last hope lay in the hands of its defenders. The warships hummed with energy as the resistance ships gathered, preparing for the final push. For the first time, humanity wasn't just running from their invaders, they were taking the fight to them. We know where the weakness is, Arya said, her finger pointing to a weak spot in the alien ship's defense grid. If we hit it hard enough, we can disrupt their command and slow them down. It's not much, but it's our only chance. Callan nodded. Do it, but we need a distraction. The alien forces are smart. They'll adapt quickly if we show them our hand too early. As the resistance ships set off toward the alien forces, a new threat emerged. The catalyst, now fully awakened, was no longer just a source of power. It had grown beyond the ship and beyond the human understanding of what it truly was. It was alive in a way that nothing else in the galaxy had ever been. The warship, once just a tool, was now a living vessel tied directly to the catalyst's energy. The very core of the warship pulsed with uncontrollable force, and as it grew stronger, the resistance felt the ship's power overwhelm their senses. The ships had already entered the final battlefield, but the true war had just begun. Humanity was no longer simply fighting the aliens, they were fighting against the catalyst's rage, which had been awakened, now hungry for more than just energy. It wanted to consume. The first wave of the alien assault hit hard. Laser fire and missile strikes tore through Earth's atmosphere, and the resistance fleet retaliated with everything they had. The battle was chaotic, and the humans, though determined, were vastly outmatched. The alien ships were faster, their weaponry more advanced, and their defenses nearly impenetrable. But humanity had one advantage, their resolve. As Earth's last line of defense pushed forward, Callan realized something. The catalyst was no longer a weapon to be controlled. It was a force of nature, a living entity that didn't follow the rules of war. The more humanity fought, the more the catalyst reacted. With every attack, its energy surged, causing disruptions in the alien fleet's defensive grids. The catalyst is feeding, Arya said, her voice urgent. Every attack we make is stoking its power. We need to use it against the aliens. The more they push, the stronger we become. Callan's mind raced. The aliens had no idea what they were dealing with. The catalyst wasn't just part of Earth's defense. It was a living weapon that humanity could now use to overwhelm their enemies. But was it too late? Was humanity ready to control the power they had awakened? Or would they be consumed by it? The final wave of alien reinforcements arrived, and the battle intensified. Ships clashed in space, and the warship's core pulsed with the energy of the catalyst. Sending waves of power out toward the battlefield, the alien ships were now struggling against the tide, their once unbreakable defenses faltering as humanity's resilience pushed them further back. "We have a chance," Callan shouted over the comms. "We need to push through to their flagship. If we can disable their command center, we'll win. We destroy their leadership. We destroy their army." The resistance fleet surged forward, led by Callan's flagship. The alien fleet was crumbling under the combined weight of humanity's strategy and the overwhelming force of the Catalyst. As the final battle reached its peak, humanity was facing the ultimate decision. They had unlocked the Catalyst, and now they had to control it or let it consume everything in its wake. The alien forces were fleeing, but at what cost? The Catalyst was alive, growing stronger with every moment. "We've won," Arya said, breathing heavily. "But the Catalyst, it's growing beyond us. We need to decide what to do with it." Callan's heart raced as he looked out at the alien fleet, now retreating into the void of space. The victory was theirs, but the cost was greater than they could have imagined. Humanity had not only fought the alien empire, they had awakened a force that could either save or destroy them all. The Catalyst was not just a weapon, it was a living entity. And humanity had to make a choice: control it, or let it consume.